Namaste, beloveds. This is Valerie Ames, aka Mother with Wisdom of Existence, Mother with Womb of Existence. And this is an unplanned video, as most of them are. But I wanted to share because of a very deep, very insightful, very powerful dream I had. And beloveds, dreams are your subconscious speaking to you. And it just amazes me how we think we have arrived in a certain time, season, frame, form, ability within ourselves to identify certain things, and we say, okay, I've got that, and I'm ready for more. I'm ready to deepen this lesson. I'm ready to go on because I've got this, or so I believe. And that's where that physical mind ends and your subconscious mind begins. And your subconscious mind takes you so much deeper into your physical mind because it goes beyond your conscious awareness of your thoughts, of your feelings, of what's going on within you. And so this particular dream that I'm excuse me for fidgeting, that I am speaking of, that I had today, it went kind of all over the place. And I was very present in it. I was very present that it was a dream. I was very present in that it had something for me. And so I was very present in it. And when I say very present in it, that means I was the main character in it. And everything was evolving and revolving around my vision or my being or my presence or my way of being in this particular dream. Okay? This dream took me to what is taking place in our reality as far as the culture of racism and the schism that it causes. And let me give you a little bit of the details of the dream so that it'll make it a little bit easier for you to follow what I'm giving, what I'm describing. The dream was taking place in a house that was a duplex with the colored people living on top, me being with the colored people, the black people, the indigenous people, the people of color, the people of a certain way, of a certain spiritual nature and spiritual character. And the lower half of the building, of the duplex, from the main floor to the basement down, was occupied by a different race. They were white in appearance. They were lighter skinned than even me, okay? They were of a different nature, of a different spiritual character and texture. They had a different way of relating. Their way of communicating or coming at you or conversating with you, if that's a word, was to go through your intellect, to go through your mind, to go through your thoughts, to create thoughts so that you could communicate with them. Okay, and that was the lower portion of that house, that temple, that domain. Okay, and what I felt was that I had risen up from there because once upon a time I belonged, I lived, I was housed down there, and I rose up out of there with my through my spiritual mind, not my mental thinking, not my physical thoughts. And we were at war with them. We were at war at first. It was just demonstrated, seen, and felt in an antagonizing, very petty way of not acknowledging, not just they would just come in to my house, to this upstairs part of the duplex, without knocking, without announcing themselves, nothing, as though it were their house. And they felt that it was their house, beloveds. They felt that it was one and it was theirs. And they had the right to come in and start conversations and go in the refrigerator, go in the bathroom, do whatever they wanted to do, to interrupt whatever you were doing, because they felt what they were doing was more important. They were more important. Their being was more important. Their way of thinking was more important, more advanced, more, just more. And I'll call them my family. My family began to resent the intrusions. They began to resent what they were overhearing, the conversations that were taking place. It was downstairs. They had a radio cast system where it was like a CB, and they would get on there and they would broadcast all of this rhetoric, all of this white supremacist rhetoric. And we didn't know that they knew that we could hear them, or that they just didn't care. But we heard them, and we began to form resentments, because as soon as they would get off of this radio station, they would come up and want to talk and chit chat and point this out and point that out. And, well, this could be a little bit better, and that could be different. And maybe you should try this the way we do it. And, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di. And like I said, the resentments got heated. And it came to the point where my mother was there. My mother has passed over some 30, almost close to 40 years, okay? But my mother was there, and my mother was, to put it lightly and mildly and lovingly, a trip, okay? And so my mother had gone out to this club, and the male downstairs, the white male downstairs, the head of the house, he had also gone out. And they had wound up in the same club together. And they got into a fight, a literal fist fight, okay? And that sounds very much like my mother. But they had gotten into this fist fight. And so my mother had come back, and she had a black eye. She had a black eye. And I'm like, he hit you? He put his hands on you? He touched you? He. And she was like, yeah, we got into it. We got into it. And I'm like, oh, hell no. To the hell no, to the hundredth millionth degree. He put his hands on you? And she's like, yeah. And so they could hear me going off downstairs. So he and his wife came upstairs. And he had black eyes and swollen cheeks and marks around his neck and just all kind of, he's like, well, look what she did to me. Look what she did. Yes, I put my hands on her, but look what she did to me. And I'm like, I don't give a damn. You put your hands on my mama. Is you crazy? And so I'm like, it's on now. It's on. No, we about to tear this house down. This can no longer stand. And we've been hearing you talking all of this stuff, and then you put your hand. This nobody. And so we're no longer friends. So don't come up to my house no more, just walking through my door like you live here. Or like you woke up with me in the morning time, or we went to bed together last night. No. That the way it has been, that's done. That's done and over with. It ain't gonna be like that never no more again. And so he like, okay. They like, okay, well, it's on, and it's finally come to this. And so they go downstairs, and it's all kind of stuff happening. They plotting and scheming. They got other people coming up from the basement, plotting and scheming with them. We got people coming down from the attic, plotting and scheming with us, and talking to my mama and healing on her. And they all live there, and I'm in this area where they can come up the back stairs and get into our place. And there's really no defense really to them entering, because the door is, one of these little, it's like, I would say an island hut kind of thing, where there's just a little latch thing, a door that comes down, this wicker door that comes down over your door. Okay, and so I'm trying to figure out how to make this secure. And then there's another window over there towards the back that there's just no securing it at all. Okay, and then I've got this little girl who keeps coming and, well, I want to help you, and I can help, and I can do this, and I can do that, and I can. And meanwhile, they're steady coming up towards the stairs, and they're shooting stuff up, and they're saying all of this stuff, and it gets real convoluted, okay? And what it comes down to is some kind of way my son went down there, and now this is filled up with water, okay? And they took him down, and two brothers had to go down to bring my son's a big guy. And so they going down there, bringing him up, and all I could hear was him screaming in pain, like he did when he had his knee surgery, okay? And so this is what I'm actually hearing. And it's causing all of this in me. And then I'm telling my mother, call the police. And they're saying, if they call the police on us, we're going to get kicked out of the house because this and that, what we did before, and la, 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 la. So we got to kill them now because they can't call the police on us. And so it got even more hectic. And so then my little grandson came in the room, and they were used to giving him candy, and he was used to taking candy from them and it being okay and eating the candy. And I didn't see they was doing that. I was over there messing with the window back there that was trying to get it closed. And they had given the candy to him before I could get it from him or tell him not to eat it. And he had put it in his mouth. And that's when I'm like, okay, that's enough for this dream. Wake your ass up. And so that's when I woke up out the dream. And I laid in bed and I'm like, okay, mama, what are you trying to tell me? You know, what is this dream about? What is it's a deep dream? You know, especially with it being racial and the aspects of the one house and the four chambers in it, the basement, the main floor, the second floor, and the attic. Okay, that's like the four chambers of the heart. You got the polar opposites, and you got the paradoxes, and you got the root, and you got the celestial. Okay, you got heaven and hell. All there's so many different things in there. And you got all the polarities with the deep contrast of spiritual and physical ways of being and relating through intellect or through love, you know? And so there was just so much there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to do a video on this. I'm going to have to, but before I said I'm going to do a video on it, I was like, oh, I got to write this down. And then I'm like, oh, that's too much. I don't want to be writing all of that down. So I'm like, okay, do a video. And so here I am doing this video. And as I was preparing myself to do this video, I'm putting on Shanice Williams. And Shanice Williams, for me, as an artist, she takes me way, way back in the day, to when I was so deep, still so deeply addicted, obsessed, and attached to my first love. And for me, that was, if you've been following me, I've spoken of this many times in poetry and blah blah blah, in it, whatever. But to bring it all to right here in this now moment. For me, I grew up Jehovah's Witness. I was 16, he was 26. I was not supposed to date. And here I am with this man, okay, not teenage boy, with this grown ass man, okay? And this grown ass man knew how to make me feel things that I had never felt before, that I had straight up numbed because of being molested as a child. And here he was bringing out all this sensuality and sexuality and me thinking, okay, this you love him. He's able to do this and make you feel this, and after all the stuff that you've been through, and here he is. Whoa, girl, this is love right here. This is the real thing, you know? And so, yeah, of course it wasn't. My daughter was conceived through me being totally infatuated, thinking that it was love. And the whole stories just go on and on and on. But coming back to this moment, beloveds, this Shanice Williams music, and just realizing this whole physical mindset of thinking that you're aware of things on a certain level, and that is what it is, and that, okay, I can navigate from this space. And then Spirit says, okay, let's take you even deeper into that state now. Since you can handle this, we're going to take you deeper into your subconscious feelings, thoughts, desires, fears, hopes, dreams about the situation. And so you have this dream, and it comes at you so raw and so real that you literally have to wake yourself up, sit on the side of the bed and say, damn, thank you, mama, for letting me see that, okay, I done battled this from the physical mind point of view, and I'm good, only to be shown, nah, baby, you ain't good, you ain't done with it yet. You have a whole another subconscious mind that's up under that physical mind that's going to communicate and talk to you too. And you got to know how to deal with that. And once you are able to communicate with yourself and ground yourself in that, okay, you have a physical mind that has all these surface thoughts and feelings and desires and whatever, okay? And that wants to master you. And when you say, okay, I'm good. You ain't tempting me no more. You ain't doing this to me no more. You ain't leading me by my nose no more. I'm not reacting. I'm not triggered. I'm good. Here come that deeper psychological subconscious mind. They say, okay, let's see what you done learned. Let's see. And so, beloveds, this is why, the Fool card in the tarot deck is so deep because you don't leave that ledge. You forever stepping off that ledge. You forever stepping off. You done stepped off it so many times in so many dimensions and so many aspects and ways and means. And you're still stepping off of it. As long as you're breathing, you are that fool, stepping off into the unknown. And that unknown is going to expand as you expand. It grows and matures and goes into cycles and seasons as you are ready to be present and aware in them. And like I said, this can only happen when you realize you are not this conditioned, programmed idea of the identity that you have constructed within your mind. That you are the spirit that incarnated into this physical body, and that this physical body has grown, and that you have to grow your spiritual body and nourish your spiritual body and be consciously aware of your spiritual body, your spiritual thoughts, your spiritual heart, your spiritual feelings, your spiritual most intimate desires for your highest self. And that you have to liberate yourself from that basement, from that wet ass pussy basement mentality. And you have to bring it celestial, divine, divine fruits, everlasting life, not momentary pleasures. And that's where the whole Isis and Osiris came up for me. Like I said, listening to this Shanice. And if you check my Facebook page today, you'll see that I posted a lot of her music and a lot of the views and thoughts and feelings that came up, more than just from my mental, but from my spiritual reckoning and recollection and remembering and rebuilding and revisiting that mother wound and healing it. Like I said, that subconscious mind is something else. But when you deal with the subconscious mind from your spiritual mind, it don't lead you on, well, what did this mean? And what did that mean? And maybe this means that and that. No, you let the revelations continue to flow and continue to merge and continue to rise within you. And you pay attention to everything that's happening because it's all connected. It's all a flow, a conscious flow within a conscious cycle and season. And no matter how chaotic it may appear, there is divine order within it. And you need to be able to discern the revelations that are distinctly for you. And then, beloveds, I really believe, as I have in sharing, and because we are a collective. So my dream and my thoughts and my spiritual is not just for me. I share them. I share them freely. And if you've been following me, I'm just going to address this now because I'm intimate with myself. And I'm naked with myself and my feelings, and I'm not hiding anything. And I don't have anything to be ashamed of. And I don't have anyone to blame for anything. And so there's this constant back and forth with some of my expressions that I have put out there and that were used without me being asked. They were, in other words, taken. They were stolen. They were perpetrated upon. And this particular being just is of the mind, well, get over it, basically. Share, give, blah, 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 blah. And it's not my ego that is saying, really? It's my spiritual wisdom and my spiritual maturity saying, you've got a long way to go. Because what you do to others is done to you. And when you take something, when you take without asking, and when you cannot say, I took that, when you cannot own up to it, when you cannot show up for a conversation, when you cannot man up, so to speak, for your actions, for your words, for your thoughts, for your feelings, don't be shocked when that being who you took from doesn't want to have anything to do with you or is hesitant. Because there's a trust factor. And you're saying, well, forget what you thought you knew, just deal with this right now. No. What kind of wisdom? What kind of wisdom is that? And so, beloveds, you have to come to a point where you realize it's not about so and so and so admitting what they did. It's not about them even needing to feel that they need to apologize or needing to feel that they need to admit it to you. See, that's common sense. And everybody don't have common sense. And so if you are sitting there holding yourself back because you're waiting for someone to apologize to you, or you're waiting for someone to admit what they did to you, baby, I want you to think of that Lauryn Hill song where she said people lie to themselves and to God every day. Okay? Remember that. Take your mind out of that box that you need, that you should expect this. Forgive yourself and forgive that being because they are still learning. And you were put in their path to help teach them, to reflect certain things. That's why they stole it from you. And that's why the energy exchange, that give and take, is still there, seen and unseen. It's a current. It's a currency. You know how when we began on our journeys, we were talking about being courted to each other, to other people, and having to cut those cords. It is the same energy, beloveds. It is the same etheric addiction, obsession, tie, chain, leash, handcuffs, whatever you want to call it. But only you can remove it from yourself. And only you can see it for what it is. And you have to realize that by your consenting to it, by allowing it to even be present in your magnetic field, in your conscious awareness, you are giving it sacred space. You are letting it take up space. There's that house again in your temple. This is where knowing yourself and loving yourself unconditionally comes in. This is truly, truly, truly about mastering your mind. Because your mind believes that it's superior to your spirit. And your mind believes that its will is law, above universal law. And it will infect you to the point that you don't even know you're sick. You know how people be walking around with walking pneumonia. Well, how the hell you didn't know you had pneumonia? It's all coming to us, beloveds. It's all being given to us. We're being refilled. But as you're being refilled, keep emptying yourself. Keep emptying yourself out of your old ways of thinking, being, the logic that you had. See, the logic I had at 16, I kept for a very long time. Into my 20s, I kept that logic. Into my 30s, I kept that same logic. It's only recently when that I can truly say, I don't think like that no more. That is not who I am. That's who I used to be. That is how I used to be. But I am no longer like that. I am no longer that being. I have been reborn. I am a much more mature spiritual being. Does that mean I'm done growing? No, not by a long shot. But it does mean if you keep wanting to relate to me, to communicate with me as that other being, you're wasting your time. I'm no longer triggered by it. I'm no longer whatever by it because that being was who she needed to be and she's gone now. And in her place is someone that sees from a much deeper spiritual perspective. That exists from a much deeper spiritual plane, reality, dimension, existence, life, style. And I am the word firming up my softness is what is what is what is coming through. So I'll allow that. Firming up my softness. And like I said, this dream lets me know just by the fact that I woke myself up out of it because they were poisoning my grandson, and I was like, "That's enough. That's enough for this dream. Wake up. That's it. Ain't not nothing else is happening. I am not allowing anything else to take place. I'm no longer allowing my subconscious to even dwell in this state of awareness. I'm up out of here." That is the kind of awareness that we have to manifest in this physical world that we have manifested. That we reside in form, in our soft human body forms, you know. We have to firm ourselves up. We have to firm our firmament up. We firm our foundations, our spiritual foundation up. Take out what no longer serves, what is no longer true. what you've outgrown. You don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to hoard it. You're not going to use it later. You could manifest something entirely new. And you have to trust yourself to do that. And you're talking to someone, I've done videos about hoarding and so forth, and not being able to let go of things simply because I've had so many things taken from me. And it is a much deeper place to be in when you're not trying to grasp a hold and hold on to everything. That's impossible. It's like the little boy with the spoon in the Matrix. Bending the spoon, that's impossible. You know, you can't hold on to everything and everyone. You cannot control every possibility by worrying, by trying to outrun it, by trying to outthink it, by trying to outfight it, by trying to survive it. What you can do is upgrade your spiritual ability to adapt, to receive, to give, to know, and to be. And that is going to do it for this portion of this video. I'm going to get ready to do a second portion, which will be an 8-card reading from the Isis deck, simply because that's the energy that presented itself and wants to be shared. And I'll be sharing the cards that were intuitively received. I'll be sharing with you what each card represents from the author's viewpoint. And then as well as merging my own intuitive instincts of what the card means at this particular present moment. So if you'd like to tune into that, please do so. The messages will, what's the word, not intermerge, integrate. There we go. The message will integrate themselves. You can find the correlations within them just by listening to the 2 videos again, just by watching them again. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask them on my Facebook page, Valerie Ames on Facebook. And I'm going to just leave that there and leave that out there. And just know that I am expanding my existence. And that's all I'm going to say on that. That's all I'm going to say on that, because we'll just see how it goes. Because every day it is yummy and delicious for me. So all I can do is continue to receive, continue to relate what I have received. So I am ending this video, as I said, and excuse me for doing this, but I've got it up, so I have to hold it a certain way. Okay, beloveds, that's it. I love you. I love you. I love you. We are a collective, and we are growing together, beloveds. So I love you. Love us.